In England we call it the catfish, but there are more than 2,000 species of catfish in the world, and the European catfish is thought to be the largest freshwater fish in the world. And here it is, the European catfish Silurus glanis. It's not a particularly pretty looking fish, but it's a wonderful sport fish. Very, very hard fighting. And you can see why. It's absolutely full of muscle and very little fat. If you look at the head end, it's got a very large mouth, absolutely enormous mouth. And it's very interesting because there are rows of tiny teeth in the inside of the upper and lower jaw. At the top of the head there's 2 very long feelers, and under the chin 4 small ones. And it's predominantly a night feeder, which is why it's got very tiny eyes. It's my belief that these eyes more or less tell the fish the difference between daylight and darkness. I don't really believe that they use their eyes for hunting very much. Very large pectoral fins, very small dorsal fin, and as you can see a very long anal fin going all the way through to the tail. And they usually are mottled like this. In clear waters the body is dark in colour, and in cloudy, murky waters the body is much lighter. I'd like to show you the inside of the mouth more closely. It's very interesting. Inside, at the back, are 2 crushing plates. Once the fish has caught its prey, which can be virtually anything edible, but mainly fish, the prey is taken to the back of the throat and it is crushed before swallowing. And that's quite amazing. When you look inside there, you can see the start of the throat and the crushing plates in front of it. And to be honest, that might not look the prettiest fish in the world, but it's certainly one of the most magnificent fighters. Lovely.
Yes, it is.
Why don't we have a closer look? Yeah?
Of course, yeah.
Right. This is the Peruvian carp. Very hard working fish. Perhaps not as good as rudd for catching silur, but it lasts longer on the hook. What depth are you fishing?
I'm fishing at 4.5 and 7 meters.
Okay. I will fish one at 4.5 and one about 6.
Mm-hmm.
That one's okay. the live bait was very active, wasn't it?
And it wasn't the catfish who took several times, it was just the live bait.
Yeah. I don't think it's very big, but it's very welcome. Here she comes.
And get the glove.
Oh, it's pulling now.
If it's too powerful for you, I can take the rod. Oh!
Even the small ones are such wonderful fighters. They are fine fish. Oh, what's going under the boat? You have the glove ready?
Yeah.
I'll step back a little.
Exactly. You can sit down on my knee.
Okay. I will sit down in comfort.
Careful, the wash machine runs here.
I think you will get splashed in the here.
I'll knock him on the head.
Yeah.
See?
Here she comes. Okay, you ready?
I think we'll get it now. Can't get my thumb in. Okay.
Good. Wonderful. Lovely. Beautiful fish, aren't they?
They are.
Oh, wonderful.
Especially when you're waiting long for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at that. For boat fishing, the required tackle is much different from that for bank fishing. Now, first of all, you need a good anchor. And I have a small compact one here, which is ideal for the small boat. It packs away nicely, so it's always safe. You just turn that, drop the anchor down, like so. An anchor is a must. And obviously attached to the anchor you need quite a long rope, because you might not be sure what depth you're fishing until you get out there, so there's plenty of rope. Safety. Whether you're a swimmer or not, you must take a life jacket out with you. I have one here. They don't cost very much money, so there's no excuse for not having one. Now, I must admit, when the water's calm and I think I don't need it, I just leave it lying in the bottom of the boat. And then if the boat should happen to capsize, at least the life jacket will be floating on the surface for you to get hold of. But if there's any wind or there's any doubt about your safety, especially at night, put it on and wear it. So that is a must. Now, moving on to other bits and pieces needed for boat fishing. Gloves. We need to glove the fish. You can't use a big landing net in the boat because you're often fishing moving water. You can't put a big landing net in because the current is too strong to hold the net. So you need a good pair of gloves, and gloves that fit you. It's important that your fingers meet the ends of the gloves and that there's no excess there. Moving on to other bits and pieces. Keep net for retaining live baits. Just hang it over the side of the boat and just take them out as required. Echo sounder, that's very important. We need to find features, deep holes where catfish live, so an echo sounder is a must. You can see a butt pad alongside the echo sounder. That is only in case we hook a very big fish. If the fight is going on for a long time and you think it's a very big fish, then you can put the butt pad on. Small amounts of fishing tackle, spare tackle. There's a tub of hooks, a head torch, and a box of bits and pieces, swivels, line, hooks, etc. Drink, we're going out in the hot weather, so we've got some refreshment there. I've also got a hat on to protect me from the sun, very important. That covers all the incidentals. Now let's have a look at the important thing, the rod and the reel. Right, the reel is a Shimano Triton TLD 2000 multiplier. I find it's an ideal reel for catfishing. holds a lot of line, heavy line. The line is sealed cast, but any good, strong, durable line is okay. 30 to 40 pound breaking strain. The rods are shorter than for bank fishing. They're powerful and they're compound taper through action. Now you need a rod like this because often when you're boat fishing, you're fishing in flowing water, so the fish is going to fight much harder than normal. If you had a fast taper rod, it would not absorb the lunges of the fish, and you would have arm aches, shoulder aches and back aches. So you want a compound rod. Now this is the Shimano twin power boat rod, 20 to 30 pound class. You can obviously choose 50 pound class if you're expecting very, very big fish. Okay, running through the rod, you can have a roller tip, but you've got to remember that if you had the model with roller tip, then you have to use multiplier reels. If it's got the normal tip ring like this, you can use fixed ball reel or multiplier. If you're using a gimbaled butt pad, then you can remove the end here and that will fit into the gimbaled butt pad. Moving on to the float. Now, this looks very crude, I know, but it's a very large float because I do like using large fish for bait. 12-inch fish weighing pound or even pound and a half, 18-inch fish. Now, that takes a lot of lead, and that is a good thing because you want the float with the lead under it and the fish underneath that. What you don't want in the flowing current is a float with a fish trailing behind. That is why you need a lot of lead. You can fit a starlight into the end of the float if you're night fishing, so you can see it and watch it during the night. Now this float is stopped simply by a bead and a stop knot. It's a power gum stop knot which we can move up and down the line to adjust the depth. And it's best to fish two rods at different depths until you find out perhaps which is the best depth. Now there's a swivel, inline swivel, and that leads us down to the hook. Just an ordinary hook length. Same line as a main line, nylon. Can be very heavy Dacron if you require, but I use nylon. It's a partridge stainless steel hook. Very large hooks I use. This is a 12-0, and that's okay for good bait. Normally you'd hook the bait through the mouth and out through the nose. Piece of rubber to stop the fish getting off the hook and up the line, and another piece of rubber the same after the fish has gone on to stop the fish coming off the hook. The other rod is set up in exactly the same way, except that it has a smaller float and less weight, and obviously that is for smaller fish. And that basically covers all of the boat tackle, so we'll now go out and do a little bit of fishing.
Sunrise, up in the morning, spreading all the sun. Whoa, whoa. Get your heart out, Roll Paris.
Come on, babies.
In a minute, I'll get fishing in there.
25.
Yeah.
A bit better.
Just around this first point, there's a 50-foot hole. Yeah? Good lad. 10 minutes.
I don't know if it's very well up, but it's a bit still.
Another slightly smaller fish, I think.
I don't know yet. Let's keep and get the other rod in too when he's walking.
Yeah. Be a good idea, Keith.
Left side about 3.
Waking up a bit now. Feels a good fish.
Now let me see if I can get it across into this shallow stuff, huh? Out of this main current. Otherwise we're going to be down to the power station before we know it.
This might be the power station.
This is yours, isn't it?
I'd rather hold the rod like this. You've got more silver
More
in
cushion.
it.
The rod's the cushion. Yeah, the back page is the bullet one.
When it does it, I don't want anything solid here. Yeah. Give Keith some room for gloving or door knocking initially.
Finger hook or treble?
Finger.
So I get to keep your fingers.
Yeah. Not that huge. Nice
fish.
Yeah.
Very nice. Deep. Very deep.
I'm a bit worried about the stop.
Yeah.
It likes the boat. Fish is
Good
tired.
fish. Good fish.
Yeah.
Hasn't its head up yet though.
70, 80 pounds.
Yeah, at least.
What a beautiful fish. Yeah, it's about 80 pounds by the looks of it. She's a bit tired.
Very pretty fish.
Yeah.
Like that.
They're not always obliging, are they?
It could be on the other side, you know.
Oh, sorry.
Bigger fish than I first saw.
Bigger.
Yeah, very big shoulder.
Right. Here she comes again. You might get a glove this time. You think you're okay? Tell me when you think you're okay. And I'll come and help. You okay? Well done.
What I meant, under the fish, grip it.
Let's try it like this. How are you gonna? You ready?
Yeah. Okay.
You alright?
Yeah. 85. With the sling to come off.
Less. How much for the sling?
Which the sling was £4.
Four? Was it? I can't remember.
£4.
£4. That's 81. Well, we've got two nice fish here. 81 pounds, which we've just weighed. And in the meantime, Keith's caught this bigger fish, 98 pounds. What a magnificent brace. We've seen my boat version. Now let's have a look at Olivier's, which is a man-sized version. Now, first of all, the boat is noticeably stronger. Perhaps you can tell us a bit about the boat, Olivier. You have outriggers on here.
Yes,
we
I've got
do not have
outriggers on.
these.
You don't have them. I like having them, you know, Kevin, because with these outriggers, I spread my live bait over much more important surface than
Wider
you do
angle,
when you
yeah.
put the rods directly in your boat, especially because I'm frequently float fishing with these big floats in rivers, in current water, so
Yeah.
and the current will take my floats off the boat, and with the outriggers and 12-foot rods, one 12-foot rod here, one 12-foot rod on the other side,
Yeah.
with the current taking the live baits out, I cover a huge surface because I like to make my boat also move a little bit, swing a little bit in the current.
Right.
And I managed to do that with the positioning of the motor. Now we haven't got the motor on, the outboard motor, but if you put the outboard motor on the left side, your boat swings to the left side. If you put it to the right side, it swings to the right side. And with the 12-foot rod on these outriggers,
Yeah.
set out with the live bait swimming far downstream, you move your live baits and they swing 10 meters to the left, 10 meters
So
to
you
the
actually
right.
move the engine every now and again?
Well, not every. I'm doing that several times. I'll put the engine on the left side for 10 minutes, and quarter hour later I'll put it on the right side.
Very
And the boat will
interesting.
swing very slowly, and the
Yeah.
floats will take position very slowly. And with a shorter rod, I'm fishing more closely to the boat. When I'm
Right.
alone, I fish with these 3 rods. If there are 2 persons on board, we like fishing with 4 rods.
Right, okay, yes, because the English, we normally ledger from the boat.
I know.
And you mainly float fish, that's the main difference, and I'm sure there's something to be learnt from this. So, what is this weird thing?
That's for washing my clothes when I'm fishing.
It's out of a washing machine, is it?
It's a drum. I just say a drum in English.
Yeah,
a
yes, a
washing
drum,
machine
yeah,
drum.
yeah.
And I found it to be the best solution to keep live bait in top condition, even in current water. If you put them in a keeping net, they will be they will be very damaged after several hours fishing in current with a keeping net. And I like to have very fresh live bait.
So you just hang that over the side?
I hang that over the side. It's easy to be opened. And as usually, you don't put fish but clothes in there. There are no sharp edges in there that can
Right.
harm the fish. They don't lose their, how do you call it, their
Scales.
slime,
Yes.
and their slime and
Yes,
scales.
slime.
Well, some are being lost, but I've got some scales in there just
Yeah.
seeing it. But anyway, you lose very, very little scales, and the fish are in top condition, in much better condition than in any keeping net.
What
And,
about the live bait tanks in the boat? Do you prefer to use this or the live bait
Well, it
tanks?
depends. Sometimes I can't take it with me, or I've got a live bait well in the boat too, but the boat must be very loaded in order to flood the live bait well sufficiently, because I've got holes beneath it. So if there are 3 persons in the boat,
see.
the live well fills, I don't know, with 40 gallons of water or something like that. But if I'm alone, it's not filling enough, so my fish aren't
use
in
that.
as good condition as they are in there. That's
Yeah.
why I like using that wash machine drum. May look funny, but I found it to be the most efficient thing to keep live bait in real
Right.
good condition, and with good live bait catch good fish.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, very important. Echo sounder, now we English, we tend to use it to find features, but we don't use them to find fish. Is that the same with you?
Absolutely the same. All the people believing that echo sounders are the right thing to find the fish is absolutely wrong. Sometimes you can't even, usually you can't recognize the species of fish you are passing on, and you've got a big spot on your echo sounder that could be also 10 bream swimming very close
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So we've never been trying actually to find the fish directly with the echo sounder, but what we're looking for is, like you, feature structures on the bottom, and we gain a lot of time, because on rivers like the Saône, for example, in France, we found out that the big catfish usually like to stay where the riverbed is getting a little bit deeper than on the other stretches. That means if there are 10 yards of water depth in average, if there's a portion of 100 yards length and 11 to 12 yards water depth, that's sufficiently to hold big fish there. And these are the sectors we are fishing, and these are the sectors we look for with that instrument, and therefore it's of great help, and I would not like going catfishing without
it. It saves so much time.
But it's not for finding directly the fish, indirectly, but not directly, and one shouldn't hope too much. Even the best sonar won't tell you that there's a 200-pound catfish below the boat.
Right. Now another thing I noticed that's different, you use quite large outboard engines. Now the English are great believers in being very quiet, not frightening the fish, and I've seen lots of German anglers come up the river with their noisy engines and they catch catfish. So obviously they do not frighten the fish, and we need to learn from yourselves things like this. You do not find that the engine puts the fish off?
No, absolutely not. Sometimes even in contrary, not only for, we are talking about catfish now, but it's true too for fishing for zen or black bass. Sometimes even we pass with the engine near floats presenting live bait, for example, for zen or bass fishing, and the only bite of the day is occurring when the boat is passing very close to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes on the Saône you saw that when a big boat pass in the Saône, it's the moment where you get the bite. Everything is being moved, there are turbulences in the water, I don't know what else, and you get bites. So engines do not frighten fish, I'm convinced of that, especially not in waters where the fish are used to engines passing above them. And sometimes even we caught fish with the engine turning, and the big catfish took the live bait not even half a yard beside the turning propeller. We had that in Spain several times, it's not too deep there, and when we were moving from one spot to another, we are just dropping the live bait behind the motor on the right and left side and going quite slowly forwards, and we took 2 or 3 fish like that, and all the time I've been fishing in Spain without really wanting. Fortunately the brakes were open, otherwise the rods would have gone overboard. And so I'm convinced, absolutely convinced, that the engine hasn't got any influence. What is very bad is to drop a heavy item in the boat like that once you're on a fishing spot.
Ah, that's interesting.
That we don't like at all, but the engines don't disturb the fish.
Right, that's very interesting. Now, your favourite hooks, they're a lovely shape. They happen to be my favourite as well. Have you come to this design through trial and error over many years? Why do you prefer this hook? I like it because it's got a wide gape, a long point, and I like the fairly short shank. Why do you like it?
For the same reasons. We discovered that hook not only now for catfish fishing. We are using this type of hook in France. We call it octopus form, I think. We use this type of hook when we are sea fishing, bass fishing, in smaller versions, hooks of that size. Always the same form, you see, same bend, same strength. Well, not the same strength, but the same type of hook. And I'm quite satisfied with that hook because you can sharp it very well until the barb. And you can have a needle sharp point, and well, it's a very nice hook form, and we used it a lot. And
you see, if I show that to other English anglers, they won't believe me. If I say it's my favourite hook, 99% of the English
Well,
will say that's crazy. It's crazy. I would
They
never
will
use
say
it.
it's crazy because of the size of the hook. If you tell them you're using these
Yeah.
hooks and for freshwater fishing, they may laugh. It's so that's the same case with me in Germany and France. I'm always shocking the people with that side of hook. But don't forget, when you're in England, you go, I don't know, perch fishing with small minnows of 5 centimeters or so, 2 inches. You put the hook number 8 or 10 on them, and proportionally, this hook will be bigger than that kind of hook on a chub of a kilogram. And we
Yes.
often use live bait up to a
Yeah.
kilogram, even more.
And I'm glad to see that you use single hooks. I mean, I have seen people using 2 trebles, and that worries me sometimes that the catfish might swallow the bait. You normally use 1 single.
Nearly always. I tried
good.
also to fish with treble hooks and other hook systems, but we stopped very fast for different, very quickly we stopped doing that for different reasons, because on the one hand, you harm the fish a lot. Once a big catfish has swallowed big 6/0 treble hooks, I don't think that he might have good chances to survive. I think you should take him to the hospital then. We can't do that on board.
No.
And on the sorry, it's just looking for my words.
Yeah.
And well, we are losing just simple hooks because our bait fish stay more lively for a longer time. Sometimes
Right.
we wait quite a lot of time for a single bite, and I like chub or rod because these bait fish are very tough, and on a simple hook a good chub may last 24 hours and you don't have to change it, and after 24 hours will still be very, very lively. If you put on the chub 2 big treble hooks, after 4 or 5 hours you've got to change it. And it's not that easy to carry a big live bait with you. When we're traveling, we used to take 30, 40, 50 big chub with us in a live
Yeah.
bait well in the car. It's not very easy, and so when we get on the spot, we don't want to lose them too rapidly.
Right, yeah. Okay, well, I think that covers more or less everything that you do different from us. So why don't we go fishing?
Oh, I'd love to, that's why I'm
Right.
here.
Good. Well, we've just arrived in Spain, and this is one of the many tributaries of the River Ebro. As you can see, the water's flowing quite fast and coloured, and I would think the water level is going down now. They did have some rain a few days ago. There's not much rubbish coming down, which is a sign that the water is dropping. And we've got a sharp bend in the river here, and basically we're looking for features. Although catfish hunt everywhere, they do have favourite lies, and it's nice to fish near a feature. Now, out in front of me, 3/4 of the way across the river, is a large tree. Now it's probably laying in quite shallow water, but I would say it's been there a long time. The chances are the current has made some features running round the tree. That's not for definite, but we could go out and have a look. One feature which is almost definite is, as the river flows off to the right here, as it turns the corner, the main current is pushing hard against the far bank. And against that bank, we should almost definitely find a deeper channel of water. Now, I like to find these areas because, for instance, we're going fishing this afternoon. Now, they may be mainly night feeding, but when they're not feeding, I think the big fish tend to lie up in these features. So we're going to go out on the boat now. Unfortunately, we've got to use an outboard engine because the currents are strong. I much prefer to row or to use an electric outboard. But we'll go out now and see what we can find. So if you want to start the engine up, Bob, if we can go and have a look. We're using an echo sounder, it's an eagle. Now, a lot of people call these fish finders. They do show fish, but as far as catfishing is concerned, you can't really rely on them for finding fish, because what shows up on this as a big fish might be a 6 or 7 pound carp, and that's not what we're after. We're after very, very big catfish. And anyway, you can find a very good feature that shows no fish, but there could be big fish there anyway. The transducer only picks up what's immediately below the boat, not what's around the boat. So we're using this purely as an echo sounder to look at the depths and find the features. Okay, we're on our way across the river now. We're going quite slowly. I'll change the menu on to meters, because it's on feet at the moment. Wonderful things to do anything, these. There we are. I'll just change it to meters. We're on 2.2 meters. And it's a flat bottom, which is what you expect. And if Bob can work his way across the river, you can see it's very clean bottom. It would be firm clay. These sort of things are small fish showing up, but we're not interested in those. They could be roach, they could be small carp. It's very flat bottom at the moment. And for this time of the year, it's very warm too. It's late autumn, and in England we wouldn't be expecting to be catching many catfish this time of the year. Approximately the same depth still, 2.1 metres. We're now about 50 yards from the bank, and we're heading out towards the sunken tree that we can see. About another 50 yards or 50 metres to go. This is one of the exciting bits of catfishing. Looking for features, you find something that looks right and it gives you confidence. And we all know what confidence does for you. 2.3 metres. No features yet. Obviously we couldn't fish slightly upstream of the tree because we'll be drifting baits downstream of the boat. Now we're in 2.3 metres still. You can see there's a little bit of turbulent water behind the tree. Only 2 metres now. Maybe in fact that we don't find a feature here, although I would be very surprised if we don't. 2.2 metres. Certainly deep enough for big catfish, but we're actually looking for a change in depth. 2.4. Now we're immediately downstream of the tree. 2.3. No feature at the moment. 2.5, 2.7. Now we have a little bit of a feature here. 2.8. It's got deeper. 2.7. A few little snags on the bottom, but I'm not worried about that because we're not going to be ledgering. Now look, there's a slope there. We've come up from 2.7, 2.8. We've come up to 3/4 of a metre. So there's a shelf there. If Bob can turn us around and we can just have another look at that. We're virtually right across the river now. There's just a short way to go. We'll turn around and just check that shelf, and we'll do our best to remember exactly where it is. We can always, when we bring the rods out, have the echo sounder turned on again. Now again, we're heading across, only 3/4 of a metre deep, very shallow here, and we're coming out, and here we go. On the echo sounder we can see quite a steep shelf there, going down to nearly 3 metres, 10 feet, so it's a good feature there. There's also a few small fish about, but as I say, we're not too worried about that. Now we've gone past the sunken tree, and it's come up slightly shallower and staying shallow. So the feature there is the shelf on the bankwood side of the tree. We can remember that. We can anchor just behind the tree. Now what I'd like to do now is go to our left, follow the current down, and one feature which is almost certain on every river, where the river turns a bend, the current wears away a channel. If the fish are not feeding today, the catfish, then I will want to fish the deeper water, because if that's where they're lying up, we can drift some baits over their heads and perhaps tempt them to take a bait. Now it's definitely getting deeper now, 4.5 metres, 4.7. Definitely much deeper over here, twice the depth, and I would expect to find even more than this. Bob's now going to turn the boat and we'll go along parallel to the bank. Now we're over 5 metres already, 4.2, it's gone back a bit, 3.7. Perhaps if we go out a touch more, we might find something a bit deeper, 2.7. You can see the currents really hitting this bank. You can see the turbulence of the water. Now it is getting deeper, coming up to 5 metres now and getting deeper. Now it's really hitting this bank, the water is. A lot of muck here, a lot of turbulence. You can see it in the water's boiling up, over 5 metres deep. You don't always need an echo sounder to find this sort of place. If you arrived and you haven't got one, look for that water pushing against the bank, look for this boiling water, which signifies deeper, change in depth. You can see it there, over 5 metres deep, whereas most of the river in this area is only 2.5 metres. Now this would be a good place to fish, in my opinion. Okay, I think we've seen enough. I don't know about you, but perhaps we'll go back and get some gear ready and see if we can catch one of these lovely, huge catfish.
We are going to fish with a spinner, even though we have plugs in the boat too. The problem is plugs are rather deep diving, and here we have got water of less than a yard or 3 foot depth, and so it would be wrong to use a plug anyway. It's full of weeds and we would have problems from beginning to the end. And the only thing really worth trying here is spoon or a spinner or another surface bait, but rather spoon or spinner. Okay. Our spinner is a new one, and it has got a forged hook, a reinforced hook. The problems of these hooks that are indispensable when fishing for catfish, because you might hook fish of 70, 80 kilograms, or in pounds it makes 150 to 200 pounds. That is possible in Europe today. And the problems with this type of hook is that they are not very sharp, and you have got to resharpen them to be sure that they are really well penetrating when you want them to penetrate. And once you've sharpened the hook points, you test them on your fingernail to see whether they are sharp enough. And here it can be seen the small scratches. That shows that you've got a sharp hook that will help you hooking maybe the fish of your lifetime. So we'll make our first cast. The slack water is downstream from here, and we'll fish it through from upstream to downstream, casting from the boat to the bank and prospecting, covering a big surface. The clutch of the reel has been well set in advance on the bank. We are not fishing with too heavy equipment here, so we must be rather careful. One more cast and we will go further downstream. Now let's lift the anchor up.
Life, Olivier, relaxing
And that's it.
on the Ebro, big cat. What more can you want?
That they bite, that they take our live bait. You see that watercolor? I made good catches with that watercolor, but you never know, and it's difficult to be confident, and when it has been raining so much and it went up so fast.
Yeah, I must admit when we first got here I was a little put off by the colour, but we have caught some fish now, so
I
Okay,
think
have a
we've
bite.
got to take. I'll get down with him.
yes.
I think it's hanging.
Good one. I hope.
Difficult to say, but it's very
I
heavy.
must get the other rods in.
It might be snagged.
I must get the rods in, Olivia.
Take your time, I think. It might be snagged, it's not moving for the moment.
Huh?
I don't know whether it's a big one. Oh, it's a good one.
I'll get these out of the way, but I won't
No, it's
take
a good one.
I won't take these right out because the bait's on them. Are these all right at the back? Yeah?
I'm sorry, Kevin. I must
Okay.
concentrate on what I'm doing. I don't care about our live bait now. Oh, wow! It's burning my thumb. It's a good fish. The biggest hour till now.
Oh, steady, steady.
Start sweating.
Do you want to come up this end?
Yes, but just in the last moment of the fight.
I have the gloves
You glove
here.
it, yes. You glove it. I think that would be best.
Yeah. It's better if I'm on that side for the photos as well. You
Yes, okay, then
you come up
just...
this end.
Oh, it will come up now. It's always the best moment when it appears at the first time at the surface.
Yeah.
Isn't cold anymore.
Have you seen the fish?
No, not yet.
Here it comes.
Oh!
That's a big fish. Big fish.
Oh, the current.
Very difficult to hold, yeah?
Yeah. Very difficult. I'm trembling. Okay. Kevin, you should try to get him. He's not moving anymore.
Okay.
I can't do much more. And then this. Take them, put the camera please here. Okay. And try to get at the very end of the boat.
Okay.
Please don't miss it.
I won't miss it, don't you worry.
Taking mine on.
you want me to tap it?
Okay.
Do you want me to tap it on the head first?
Try. I want you to get it. You've caught big fish, so show that you can glove them.
You sound a worried man.
If the line breaks now, I go overboard backwards.
Oh, it's well hooked. Well hooked.
As usual, in the corner. Kevin, I can't get him closer to you, really.
Try for a little while longer, then I can take the boat in the calmer water, yeah?
Yeah.
Just give it a little while longer, you might gain. We're just going very slowly upstream at the moment.
Just go ahead. Or just let's slip the angler on the ground. Get in that slack water.
Have you got the anchor up?
No, but don't care about it. Just... That will be great here. That's all right. All right. Here we'll get him.
Enough?
Enough.
How do you turn the engine off?
Push the red button. That's it. Ah, I've got sweat running in my eyes.
You're sweating.
Yeah, running in my eyes. It's burning.
I think the fish must be tired.
Yeah.
Over this way.
Take him, take him.
No.
No problem. On the other side, maybe.
A little more. A little more.
Yes, no. Ah! I'll help you.
Yeah, I've got it. Oh my God.
What a fish!
Look at that. That's well over 100 pounds.
Yes.
Well done.
Over 100 pounds. Sorry, I'm
That's
slimy,
okay.
but
Well done.
I know you won't mind.
Magnificent. I would say 115 to 120 pounds. For its length, it is very heavy. You have tremendous depth of body here.
Yes. And these huge pectoral fins.
Yeah, massive.
Many scars on it. Must have been broken several times.
Yeah, I think they have a hard life sometimes.
Yes, I think it's not always easy in the water. Isn't
Look
it?
at that, look. I'll be glad to get back.
Yeah, it won't take long to get back.
What I like when they go back is you often see the tip of the tail. Look, there's the tip of the tail.
Ciao. See you again in 10 years.
Yeah,
Double of the weight.
well done, well done.